Lord be with you. Let us pray. Lord, have mercy upon us. Lord, have mercy upon us. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Almighty God, who in thy wisdom and goodness hast appointed the office of rulers and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of men and women, we beseech thee to behold with thy abundant favor us thy servants, whom thou hast been pleased to call to the performance of important trusts in these islands. Let thy blessing descend upon us here assembled, and grant that we may treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote thy honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of these islands, and those whose interest thou hast committed to our charge. And this we beg for Jesus Christ his sake. Amen. May the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, and the love of God, and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with us all evermore. Amen.
Thank you, Ms. Beal. Good morning, members. The House is now in session. Members, the minutes of the 2nd and 4th of November of March have been circulated. Are there any amendments required? No amendments. The minutes will be printed as confirmed. Messages from the governor? There are none. Announcements by the speaker? There are none. Messages from the Senate? There are none. Papers and other communications? There's one paper this morning in the name of the Minister of Economy and Labor. Minister?
Good morning, Mr. Speaker.
Good morning.
Mr. Speaker, I have the honor to attach and submit for the information of the Honorable House of Assembly the Bermuda FinTech Strategy 2026 to 2028.
Thank you. Petitions? There are none. Statements by ministers and junior ministers? We have two statements this morning. The first is in the name of the Minister of Economy and Labor. Minister?
Mr. Speaker, I'm pleased to address this Honorable House today and lay before it the FinTech Strategy 2026-2028. It is a comprehensive roadmap to firmly evolve Bermuda's financial technology ecosystem. In other words, this strategy sets up clear steps to help Bermuda integrate FinTech into society with an aim of making digital finance services more prevalent across the island. This strategy is aligned with the broader Economic Development Strategy 2023 to 2027. It reflects Bermuda's commitment to innovation, inclusivity, and international cooperation. Mr. Speaker, at the heart of this strategy is a robust digital identity framework and a clear focus on InsurTech, building on Bermuda's strengths in insurance and reinsurance. Digital identity is the framework and the tool that allows persons to prove who they are securely in online environments. It supports security, trust, and efficient service delivery across the digital finance landscape. There is also a focus on InsurTech, as we build directly on what we already do best, insurance and reinsurance, where Bermuda has global credibility, deep expertise, and strong regulatory reputation. The strategy sees FinTech growth as grounded in a proven sector rather than starting from scratch. This strategy, therefore, supports a wider ambition to modernize how money moves across the economy, across government, business, and financial services. It also reflects the island's ambition to keep the economy inclusive and competitive. It aims to make payments and financial services faster, safer, and more efficient. This is not a theoretical exercise, and it is not just a plan on paper. We are already seeing digital onboarding become a reality in our local banks. For instance, also, the government is already working with partners to modernize payments. Mr. Speaker, the FinTech strategy seeks to provide a robust foundation in the following priorities: attracting investment, helping Bermuda compete globally, fostering collaboration, ensuring strong data protection, driving innovation and growth, providing regulatory clarity, consumer protection and compliance, and closing gaps in service and improving access for people under the banner of inclusivity. The resulting strategy is built on three key pillars and corresponding actions to create a dynamic, sustainable, and inclusive fintech ecosystem. The three strategic pillars on the fintech strategy are a progressive and agile regulatory environment, innovation growth and capacity building, and international collaboration and market access. Mr. Speaker, Pillar 1, a progressive and agile regulatory environment, is essential for fostering true innovation. By maintaining an agile framework, Bermuda can swiftly adapt to rapid technological advancements and emerging business models, thereby reducing regulatory friction and increasing certainty for new businesses. This pillar is about keeping the rules clear and up to date so that responsive new firms can operate with confidence as technology changes and legislation evolves. The second pillar, innovation, growth, and capacity building, is about building local talent and supporting Bermudian businesses so more innovation and opportunity can happen here at home. This pillar focuses on cultivating a thriving internal environment by enhancing our local capacity for innovation. This involves supporting both startups and established businesses while equipping the Bermudian workforce with the necessary tools, skills, and knowledge to lead in this sector. Also, it includes supporting digital finance literacy so that residents and businesses can use these new services with confidence. Mr. Speaker, the final pillar of the FinTech strategy is international collaboration and market access. This pillar is about strengthening partnerships with leading FinTech centers, recognizing that access to international markets is vital for economic stability. By collaborating with global FinTech hubs and regional accelerators, Bermuda can fast-track local development and open new doors for investment. Bermuda's regulatory clarity is strengthened by solid collaboration between the government, the regulator, and the private sector to ensure frameworks continue to work. This pillar, therefore, seeks to deepen this collaboration and to promote innovation. With this approach, Bermuda is positioned to possess the infrastructure, talent, and regulatory clarity that are necessary to solidify its position as a global fintech jurisdiction. Mr. Speaker, within each of these three strategic pillars, the strategy has identified steps that will guide Bermuda towards sustainable economic growth by leveraging its unique strengths. This approach supports real economic growth. It is not only about technology for its own sake, it's about being a core driver of the economy. Each pillar of the fintech strategy includes key initiatives with practical actions to improve infrastructure, grow skills, and keep rules clear. These actions will ensure that Bermuda remains an agile and responsive jurisdiction, providing the necessary infrastructure, talent, and regulatory clarity to further its position as a global fintech jurisdiction. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Economy and Labor is committed to the ongoing implementation of this strategy. We will track its progress against specific actions under the pillars and report regularly to ensure transparency and accountability. It goes without saying that this government will continue to collaborate with stakeholders and provide the public with regular updates on its progress. Finally, Mr. Speaker, the government is confident that this strategy will pave the way for a more prosperous, sustainable, and inclusive future for all Bermudians. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Minister. Members, the next statement this morning is from the Minister of Health. Minister?
Good morning, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to advise honorable members of an adjustment to the standard premium rate effective 1st of April 2026, as outlined previously in the 2025 budget statement. The standard premium rate was last increased on the 1st of November 2021 when it was set at $400.31 per member per month. Since that time, now more than 4.5 years, the rate has remained unchanged. During this period, though, through the difficult economic aftermath of the pandemic, the government made a deliberate decision to shield residents from increases to the standard premium rate. Funds from the excess borrowing fund were used to provide temporary support and maintain stability within the health financing system while protecting Bermudian households from further additional financial pressure. Mr. Speaker, healthcare costs, however, have not stood still. Across the world, medical inflation continues to rise. It affects the cost of clinical care, medical equipment, pharmaceuticals, and hospital operations. Bermuda is not immune to these pressures. In addition, the Bermuda Hospital Board recently concluded negotiations with the Bermuda Public Services Union representing unionized hospital staff. These negotiations resulted in a salary uplift of 18.23%, along with a cost of living allowance covering the period April 2022 through October 2025. As a result, retroactive payments totaling $38 million were owed to staff who have continued to provide essential services during that time. Mr. Speaker, these payments recognize the dedication of the nurses, clinicians, technicians, and support staff who sustain Bermuda's healthcare system every day. Ensuring that our frontline healthcare professionals are fairly compensated is essential to maintaining a strong and resilient health system. Mr. Speaker, these retroactive payments will be issued in 2 equal installments. The first was paid on the 30th of January of this year, and the second is due by the 30th of April 2026 in accordance with the negotiated agreement. While $19 million has already been set aside, the remaining funding requirement must be supported through a combination of government reprioritization and an adjustment to the standard premium rate. Following an independent actuarial review, it has been determined that the increase of $39.24 per member per month is necessary to maintain the financial integrity of Bermuda's health financing system. And accordingly, the standard premium rate will increase to $439.55 per member per month effective 1st of April 2026. Mr. Speaker, this decision is not taken lightly. However, it is necessary. The adjustment is driven primarily by the funding requirement within the Mutual Reinsurance Fund. The Mutual Reinsurance Fund is a cornerstone of Bermuda's health system. It supports high-cost and hospital-based services and ensures that risk is shared broadly across the population. It is what allows essential treatment to remain available when individuals face catastrophic illnesses or complex medical need. If the fund is not stable, the system cannot remain stable. Honorable members will recall that the standard premium rate has remained unchanged since November of 2021. During that time, the government provided temporary support to shield Bermudians from increases during a difficult economic period. Again, as I said, healthcare costs have continued to rise. The hospital labor agreement has introduced permanent funding obligations, and maintaining the freeze is therefore no longer sustainable. This adjustment restores balance to the system and ensures that the resources required to sustain hospital services remain available. Mr. Speaker, the standard premium rate forms part of the premium structure across health insurance policies in Bermuda, and as such, this adjustment may be reflected in both public and private insurance premiums. For clarity, the $39.24 per member per month represents the increase directly associated with this policy decision and the funding needs of the Mutual Reinsurance Fund. Any additional premium adjustments would reflect insurer-specific decisions and should be discussed directly with those providers. I also wish to note that this adjustment will not apply to individuals enrolled in the Future Care Plan. Mr. Speaker, we have one acute care hospital in Bermuda. That hospital must remain strong, it must remain properly resourced, and it must remain capable of delivering the critical services our people depend on upon emergency care, surgery, diagnostics, and treatment for serious illness. Every day, Bermudians rely on the professionals at the Bermuda Hospitals Board to provide that care. Ensuring that the system which supports that care remains financially sound is our responsibility. Mr. Speaker, the adjustment to the standard premium rate is a necessary step to support the sustainability of hospital services and ensure that Bermuda's healthcare system continues to function for the benefit of our people. Our duty is not only to manage today's costs, but to safeguard the system on which every Bermudian may one day depend. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Minister. Members, that brings us to the end of the statements for this morning. We now move on. Reports of committees. There are none. Question period. Members, we have one question. There aren't any written questions. There's only questions from the statements this morning. We have members who would like to put statements, questions, or reference to the statements this morning. The first is to Minister Hayward for your statement this morning. MP Campbell would like to put a question to you.
Good morning, and thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Morning.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to ask the minister how many jobs are currently in the fintech field occupied by Bermudians?
Minister?
Mr. Speaker, that is a matter of public information. On an annual basis, the Ministry of Economy and Labor releases a fintech report that highlights the number of companies and the number of jobs associated with those companies.
So the information is contained in the public domain already. Supplementary or new question?
Supplementary. Is the minister confident as of right now that the number of Bermudians who are occupying jobs in fintech are sufficient to satisfy the local talent pool that he spoke about in his statement?
Minister?
The statement primarily refers to developing capacity. And so it is our aim to have more Bermudians working within fintech and utilizing fintech. We're looking at fintech beyond just businesses moving to Bermuda, but enabling businesses that are already in Bermuda, and then also ensuring that we have the level of digital literacy in our community required so that people can function in the current and future world of work.
Supplementary or
Supplementary.
Okay, second sub.
Given that the minister's response, can the minister advise us if there are any shortfalls? And his statement is about a strategy for 2026, 2028, which is in a very long time frame. Where there are shortfalls, how long does it take a Bermudian to really become proficient, where they can participate in that talent pool and be part of the available talent that the minister spoke about?
Minister?
Mr. Speaker, there's a variety of jobs in the sector, and there are a variety of competencies that need to be built for people to navigate our environment. And so the answer will vary based off of where one currently sits at and where they desire to be. And we'd have to determine on a case-by-case scenario what is required for them, those individuals, to close the gap. But generally, the fintech training that we provide and the digital literacy training, everybody in our community can benefit from that particular training.
Second question.
Second question, I thank the minister for that response. Is the minister concerned about any jurisdictional risk in going in applying this strategy going forward? That's reputational damage to Bermuda if this goes wrong.
Minister?
Mr. Speaker, I think the honorable member is misguided as it pertains to what the government is attempting to do in this particular space. I believe he's hearing the word fintech and automatically relating it to the digital asset industry, which this strategy expands way beyond just digital assets or the double legislation that we have in place. Yes, that is a component of our overall fintech ecosystem, but what this strategy specifically talks about is ensuring, number one, that we have a agile regulatory environment. And so the risk will be mitigated by the strength of our regulatory environment. And I'm sure that Bermuda has an awesome track record as it pertains to the way in which we regulate companies in Bermuda, and I'm confident that the risk will be mitigated as best as we possibly can. The second pillar talks about innovative growth and capacity building. And so what we really want to do is have a true ecosystem where we move financial technology from the fringes of our society to mainstream utilization. And then the third is talking about international collaborations and market access, how we can lure more companies to operate in Bermuda, but then how we can also learn best practices from what other jurisdictions are doing. Based off of that, I believe that we're well positioned to progress in this in a reasonable way and reduce and mitigate against any risk that may exist.
Thank you. Supplementary or?
No further questions, and I'd like to thank the minister for his answers. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Minister, MP King would like to put questions to you as well. MP King?
Morning, Mr. Speaker, members of this honorable House and the listening public. Regarding fintech, one of the major constraints to fintech growth internationally is access to banking. What steps has the government taken to ensure local banks are able to provide services to the licensed fintech firms?
Okay, all right.
The question's kind of spending outside of the
that's
report
right,
that was
that's right.
actually provided, but I would say that the government is in ongoing consultation with industry and our banking industry to find ways in which we can close the gaps that exist.
Supplementary or new question?
Supplementary.
Okay.
What specific investment targets and benchmarks are expected to be achieved in 26-28? And how many jobs are expected to be created? That's my final question. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, the 5.1 of the document speaks to the pillars that we have identified and the steps that we would actually take. And so it is very detailed as pertains to what we aim to do. You will note that it is a 2-year strategy and not a longer strategy, because the way in which the technology is advancing. If you have a 4-year strategy, by the time you complete your 4-year strategy, technology has evolved. And so we have a very aggressive target point, and the initiatives, the key initiatives are clearly laid out in the document presented to the House of Assembly this morning.
Thank you. No supplementaries. Minister, that was the end of questions for your statement. Minister Wilson, Minister of Health, there is a questions for you as well. Opposition Whip and Buchanan, would you like to put your question?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and good morning, colleagues, and good morning to Bermuda. The minister mentioned, I think, on part of page 3 and part of page, let me just pull it up here, part of page 4, healthcare costs, however, have not stood still. And I think my question is and I commended the government for the standstill for a couple of years in the premium. But as we move forward, I'm just curious about the forecast going forward as they speak with their team and the actuaries, and they're trying to figure out what to do with premiums. Is the plan going forward to incrementally increase on a yearly basis due to the fact that there are costs going up? Or are we going to try and hold with this $39 increase in premium for the next 2-3 years, or maybe even 4 years, and then look at it again?
Minister?
Thank you. I thank the honorable member for his question. Mr. Speaker, as we indicated, we have not raised the premiums since in almost 4.5 years. The actuaries had suggested, supported a increase of 10%. I need to also make mention, excuse me, Mr. Speaker, that of that $38 million, which is being applied, part of it with respect to the negotiated settlement, the government did pay 19 million of that. So half of that was paid for by the government because it could have been a higher amount. So in that regard, it also should be noted that it represents 2.4% increase per year. And insofar as continued increases, we will be looking at that, because there is a school of thought that suggests that there should be an increase on an annual basis based on utilization, the modeling and the like, as opposed to waiting X number of years, therefore, which creates a bigger bump. However, recognizing the government was concerned about the impact of the increase, particularly following COVID, with the persons in the community having to incur another increase, which is why when there was a suggestion 2 years ago, we took money from the excess borrowing fund to shield residents from having to pay that increase. So again, it represents a 2.4% per annum increase, whereas the actuary suggested healthcare inflation runs at 10% per annum.
Supplementary or new question?
Yeah, just supplemental so I can be clear. So then are we saying that the intent is about a 2.4% or thereabouts annually going forward? Or are we still trying to decide for the latter years what that's going to be?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, at this point, it is hard to say because the increase is based on a number of things, not least of which is utilization, healthcare costs, and the like. So notwithstanding the question, I understand the honorable member's sentiment insofar as the increase. If utilization drops, which is unlikely, then so would the anticipated modeling. But again, healthcare inflation normally runs at 10% per year.
Supplementary or new question?
Yeah, second supplemental. Considering that answer and fully understand, but also understanding that even with this $39 increase, we are behind. As I've mentioned before, we're getting a $500 premium for a package of $800 probably in coverage. So I've been saying that, like I've said it about 3 or 4 times. You want me to say it again? You want me to say it again? Would it be more efficient to then set a rate of maybe 3%, 3.5%, just to try and climb back to where we need to be? Thank you.
Minister?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, again, with respect to the premium amounts, there are a number of factors that go into this insofar as ascertain what that increase should be. I thank the honorable member for acknowledging the fact that these premiums, HIP and Future Care, are heavily subsidized by taxpayers. So notwithstanding that there's a 439.55 for the standard premium rate, and the obviously every package of insurance includes the standard premium rate. HIP and Future Care will remain to be subsidized. And of important note is that this increase will not impact those of our members that are on the Future Care policy.
Supplementary or further question? Yeah, you used to be.
Yeah.
Second question.
Second question. Considering the massive profits that the private sector is making in the insurance industry, 70%, some almost doubling in some quarters, is the government planning on looking at how we can get them to also contribute to lowering the premiums in the private sector, considering they're making these huge profits?
Minister, when you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Notwithstanding that Section 1793 of the House orders, this does not apply because this is not a question that came from my ministerial statement. There are discussions. Obviously, the private insurance are controlled by their contractual arrangements with their policy holders. However, insofar as the policies that continue to increase, and the honorable member said it, I didn't, that they are going largely to their profits, not that I disagree. There are discussions that we've spoken about previously in this House as it relates to areas, as it relates to mergers and acquisitions and legislation. So there are things that we have to look at. But again, Mr. Speaker, regrettably, it's a contractual arrangement between the private insurers and the policyholders and the employers who are required legislatively to offer that insurance.
Supplementary, okay. Minister, MP Tucker would also like to put questions to you.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you,
Morning.
Mr. Speaker. I just have a very simple question. If the minister can just sort of clarify why only Future Care policyholders will be exempt from the increase rather than HIP and even GEHI. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, the rule of thought behind that is that the majority of individuals that are on future care are seniors that may very well be on a fixed income. And as such, we wanted to shield that population who are more vulnerable than not because of that circumstance with respect to the fixed income from having to incur an increase. So this is just government's way of ensuring that we provide further protections for our seniors. In addition to that, you'll recall on Wednesday during the budget statement, I did indicate that there'll be further sums that have been given to the Ministry of Health to further protect 2,200 low-income seniors as it relates to their premiums.
Thank you. Supplementary? None?
Mr. Speaker, I know that the question is not
Question.
directed to me, but may I provide clarity to the honorable member on the question regarding GHI, as GHI falls under responsibility of the Ministry of Finance? If I may, with your leave.
If member, would you like more clarification for your answer?
Yes, thank you, Mr.
Go
Speaker.
right here, Premier.
Mr. Speaker, as you would note with the public officers, in regards to the agreement that was reached last year, there are increases to GHI premiums, and in addition to the fact of the increases, the SPR would factor and filter through with that as it filters through all insurance plans. But as per our agreement with all public officers, no public officer will see a decrease in their net pay, as the government will have to eat this portion as is part of our agreement with public officers. So I just want to make sure we're clear there. Now, that, of course, does not apply to those of us in this house, but it does apply to public officers.
Thank you, Premier. That brings us to the close of the question period for this morning. We'll now move on. The next item on the order paper, congratulatory and obituary speeches. And I see the Deputy Speaker was on her feet extremely quickly that time. So
Right.
you have your 3 minutes.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker. Good morning to the House and good morning to the listening public. Mr. Speaker, regrettably, I am standing here to give condolences to two families. We have lost two women. One, Mrs. Cynthia Lottie-Moore, a longtime educator in the Eastern area. In fact, I worked under Ms. Lottie-Moore. She was the deputy principal when I worked at St. George's Secondary School. I have a very close relationship with her. Needless to say that she is also my neighbor. She lives next door to me. And so I would like condolences to go out to her son, Donald Lottie-Moore, and his wife, Margaret, and I'd like to associate Dennis Lister III and member Kim Swan and Renee Ming and the Premier and Diallo O'Brien. I think Mr. Lottie-Moore is a fraternity, belongs to the same fraternity as many of the gentlemen who sit in this house and wanted to be recognized. Mr. Speaker, I also want to give condolences to Mrs. Cheryl Wade, mother of Nadir and Nasir and their sister. I'd like to associate the whole house, a big PLP supporter, a good friend of mine, a cup match. I was there with Cheryl enjoying her homemade wine. It's sad to hear of her passing, and I would like for the House to send condolences to her family. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Does any other member, Minister? You
Thank
have
you.
your 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Like the speaker before me, condolences to the family of Cynthia Lottie-Moore. As articulated, she was a true pillar of the East. Although she was born in Warwick, she did make her home in St. George's for over 80 years and a deep commitment to that community. Not only was she an educator and deputy principal for over 40 years, helping shape the young minds of the children in St. George's, she also led the Richard Allen Church as superintendent of their Sunday school for just over 20 years. As articulated, this loss is particularly personal to me. Donald, her son, is a fraternity brother of mine, and we have known each other since high school. Visiting with him yesterday was truly a sobering moment, but it does, he can take solace in the fact that his mother was well loved and a well looked after person from St. George's. So condolences to her and to Donald and his wife Margaret as they go through this troubling time. Mr. Speaker, I also like to send condolences to the family of Emma Bryce. Emma Bryce is a constituent of mine who passed earlier this week, just after reaching the ripe old age of 102. When I visited Ms. Rice at our home on her birthday, which was February 18th, while she had slowed down, she was still quite sharp. She recognized me. We laughed and joked about the birthday card I bought her, and she was able to give me a hug, which ultimately turned out to be the last time that I would see her. One moment that does stand out in my mind for Ms. Bryce was last year's election, which happened to fall on her birthday, and she was turning 101. And I did offer the services of her being able to vote at home, which she immediately shooed me away and said, no, I must show up to the poll and I must go and vote on my own steam, which she certainly did. And she walked in and did her vote and then did her typical Gombe dance as she came out of the polling booth. Ms. Bryce was a life member of the Progressive Labor Party, and some of the stories that she could tell of her seeing some of the stalwarts of this party as young men and women of the community was truly awe-inspiring. And so I would send condolences to my constituent and a pillar of the Devonshire community and her family, condolences on their loss. Lastly, again, on the same train, condolences to the family of Pastor Lloyd Duncan. And I'm sure there are other members that will get up and give testimonies to Brother Lloyd Duncan as well. His brother, I do apologize. I can associate myself with those. I do apologize. I wasn't here on Wednesday. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
You. Any other member wish to make a contribution? MP Swan?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to be associated with the condolences to the Lottie Moore Wade and Pastor Duncan's family as well. And may they be comforted during their time of bereavement, Mr. Speaker. But Mr. Speaker, on a happier note, I would like to associate you and Member Amnigale Deal and Member Jamal Simmons especially, and Scott Simmons, in congratulating Ms. Capri Smith, who is the student school principal of Dalton E. Tucker. And the reason why I'm standing up is because most people would know that that's my alma mater, and I've made it a point of spending some time there, because it's one thing to name a school Dalton E. Tucker, it's another thing to know who Dalton Tucker was. And I think I am well positioned to have done that, and I've done it through the sport of golf. And young Miss Smith is one of my charges. And just on Sunday, she was with us down at Belmont, along with young Jill Trott. And the beautiful part of that is that they are accompanied by their either parents or grandparents, sometimes both. And I'm able to mentor both the children and how to mentor parents on how to coach in my absence those gifted children. And it's a blessing. And it wasn't lost on me that at 2:30 on Sunday past, that 60 years ago, that same Dalton Tucker had we children who were being raised by single parents in Granaway Heights at her house in Coral Acres on the waterside, singing loud so the fishermen that were in church could hear the melodious voices of these children. And so all I'm doing is passing along what was given to me, not by a school building, but by a principal whose name is carried forward. And I just want to say that, Mr. Speaker. And finally, as this is International Women's Week on Sunday, I think it's important for we men to appreciate our role. And I think it's important for women to appreciate men's role in empowering women as well. I'm proud to have participated in that when I had my first responsibility running a government Quango, to have hired the first Bermudian women professional golfers and brought the first women's professional golf tournament to Bermuda back in the 80s, which was very novel. But the way in which you empower people is to let them see their peers of high excellence. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Does any, wait a minute. You have your 3 minutes on, oops, let me restart the clock. Here we go.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, first, I rise to be associated with the remarks of condolences issued by the Deputy Speaker to the family of the now late Cheryl Wade. Mr. Speaker, I know that you know Ms. Wade well, a pillar of the Somerset community. And as many people in this house will know, that I am good friends with Ms. Wade's children. And just want to, she was an amazing soul. I remember when my wife had first moved to Bermuda in 2011, it was one of the first people she had met. It was at a football match. And for those of you who knew Cheryl Wade, you used to know that Cheryl Wade always had a very colorful mouth when she was ready. And the way that she was cheering, cajoling, and I guess I would say encouraging the players on the pitch is something that stuck with my wife and myself for a long time. But she was always very generous with her time, has raised and mentored numerous children in the Somerset community. And she certainly will be missed. And so I'd certainly hope that the House Assembly could send a letter of condolence to her children, Nadir, Nasir, and her daughter, Nadia. In addition to that, Mr. Speaker, I would like to ask that this Honorable House to send a letter of condolence to one of my constituents. The constituent is Miss Leah Brangman, who works at the post office. Her daughter, Miss Teray Brangman, unfortunately passed away on Monday at the young age of 32 years old. I know Teray because Teray worked on all of our campaigns in constituency number 18. Ms. Leah Richardson is someone who has been a member of our branch, someone who served as deputy chair. The family is very close. She's my she's a godmother to my firstborn. And Teray was battling illness, yes, but unfortunately succumbed to that illness on Monday at a very young age. It's without question very tragic for the family, especially losing someone so young. But I do want to ask that the Honorable House to extend a letter of condolence to Miss Leah Richardson, Nee Brangman, and her family. Thank you.
Thank you, Premier. Does any other member? Minister Weeks?
Good morning, Mr. Speaker, colleagues, and listening audience. I'd like to start off by saying I'd like to be associated with the remarks for Miss Cheryl Wade and her family. Cheryl and I, as I became an MP, we shared a lot of laughs and about politics whenever we crossed paths, Mr. Speaker. She always had some advice or questions for me. So I'm going to miss her and those conversations. I send my thoughts and prayers to her children, Mr. Speaker, her grandchildren, and her wider Somerset family, and I hope they all find peace and comfort during this very difficult time. As we also reflect on the loss of loved ones, Mr. Speaker, I want to acknowledge that today is being observed by many in our community as Grief and Loss Awareness Day, led by Gina Spence Farmer. Grief is something that touches every family at some point, Mr. Speaker. And today reminds us that those carrying the weight of loss should never feel that they must do to learn. So to the families who will gather today to remember loved ones who are no longer with them, please know that our thoughts and prayers are with you. I also commend those in our community who continue to support compassion and space for healing in those navigating grief. Mr. Speaker, on a brighter note, yesterday I had the pleasure of spending time with the bright students at Victor Scott Preschool as part of World Book Day. I read a story called The Chimp with a Limp, which shares a simple but powerful lesson about helping others and being honest about our responsibilities to one another, Mr. Speaker. The children certainly enjoyed the story. I even had to demonstrate what it looks like to limp. So you can imagine the youngsters when I was trying to walk back and forth across the classroom, demonstrating what a limp was. But we all had a good time, Mr. Speaker. Moments like this are a joyful reminder how important it is for us to encourage reading, and kindness and community spirit. Finally, Mr. Speaker, I want to congratulate Bermuda Women's Gombe Warriors for representing Bermuda in the CONCACAF qualifiers this week. Their determination and their resilience shone through right to the final whistle. The final result obviously did not go our way, but hats off to the lady warriors that was out there fighting right to the end. And I encourage all Bermudians to get up and support our young men and women as they represent us on the international stage. And finally, I want to recognize women across the Bermuda Uniformed Services, as today is International Women's Day. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Minister. Is there any other MP, Reverend Deal?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, and to our listening audience. I want to take the opportunity. I'm not sure if we have shared this already, but I want to congratulate the members of the Progressive Labor Party on their Founders Day and Drum Major Awards, which took place on the 22nd of February. In particular, I must stand to highlight the three individuals from the SANS community that were honored, which were Mrs. Barbara Dillis, Mrs. Norette Simmons, and Mrs. Cecily Snaith Simmons, along with the others, Mrs. Terry Smith and Mr. Mickey Robinson. We celebrate these individuals and thank them for the wonderful contributions that they continue to make in our community, and they certainly stand as drum majors for justice. I'd also like today to join with the minister and thank Ms. Gina Spence Farmer for her diligence in lifting up in this community grief and the many families that have lost loved ones. And in particular today, as we will honor the lives of those who have been lost to road fatalities and stand with our families and first responders, as today is the second annual Grief and Loss Awareness Day. And we thank Gina for her work, Dr. Gina for the work that she has done, and certainly the families that have lost loved ones. We lost our nephew several years ago to a road fatality, and it is very, very painful to experience that. And so we thank her for lifting that up, and thank those in our community that will stand in solidarity with the families that have lost loved ones. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I too would like to join in the chorus as we mourn and celebrate the life of Cheryl Wade. I recall one of the early interactions I had with her. I was canvassing with former member Walter Lister, and her husband had just passed. And I remember being struck by the remarkable resolve and calmness that she exhibited. It was almost like a sense of peace. As we shared our condolences about her husband, whom, of course, she was then raising a set of triplets. I also recall canvassing her on occasion and walking up Cooks Hill and seeing her build a wall. And she was very enterprising. And I thought, wow, this is another side of her, a physical strength. And I laughed. And I said, do you have anybody helping you? And she's like, no, I can do it all myself, as she continued lifting the blocks and the rocks with respect to this wall that she was erecting. In addition to that, Mr. Speaker, she probably was one of the first people to start a community garden. She did have that community garden on Cooks Hill, and she shared vegetables with people and gardening tips and the like for persons that were interested in learning more about gardening. I'd like to extend my condolences to her three remarkable children. She raised some very, very remarkable young men and a remarkable young woman, and she will certainly be missed in the Somerset community, and our prayers go with her family. Thank you.
Any other member would like to make a contribution at this at this time? No other member? Before we move on, I too would just like to add my words of condolences to the Wade family. Those of you who have spoken already and know the Somerset connection would know that Ms. Wade and I were extremely close, as the activities we've done in the community together, but also on a personal friendship level. And If you knew Ms. Wade, you knew she was very spirited in her and presenting her viewpoints. And I touched base with her son since she's passed, and I was reminded that they remind me that they can remember the many spirited conversations or debates, if you want to call them that her and I would have at her house. And it was part of helping to shape their view of life going forward and politics going forward. So it's a sadness, but also, pleasant memories that I'll always think of Ms. Wade and the contribution that she made in my political growth and support that she gave to me personally, but also in what she gave to our community. You can say that she was a mother to many and the young man that she helped to take under her wing and guide. So she will truly be missed, and our deep sympathies go out to her entire family at this time. Thank you. The next item on the order paper, excuse me. The next item on the order paper this morning is matter of privilege. There are none. Personal explanations. There are none. Notice of motions for the adjournment of the House on matters of urgent public importance. There are none. Introduction of bills. There's one bill to be introduced this morning, and the Minister of Works is going to introduce it on behalf of the Minister of Transport. Minister?
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning. Mr. Speaker, I am introducing the following bill for its first reading so that it may be placed on the order paper for the next day of meeting. The Motor Car License Duties Reduction Amendment Act 2026. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. There are no other bills this morning. There are no notice of motions. There are none. For our listening audience, this now brings us to the purpose of why we're here today, for the continuation of the Committee of Supply for the further consideration of the estimates of revenues and expenditures for the year 26-27. And for the listening audience again, once we start the debate, it's an 8-hour process, and the speaker will be out of the chair for that entire time, and the House will be in the hands of a chairperson, and that chairperson will be a representative of the panel of chairs. The first chairman this morning will be MP Pierman, and the first debate this morning is education, which will take 4 hours, and then will be followed by finance, which is another 4 hours. Those debates will start. Just a minute. Okay, all right. Those debates will start in a minute. We will call on the government to move us into committee, and then the chairman will take the chair. Before I do that, because this is my last time to speak this morning before I leave, I just acknowledge in the chamber this morning we have Senator and Minister of Education, Caesar, who's with us this morning, while her ministry will be debated first. And then we also have in the chamber former Senator Jones, who's visiting us this morning as well. So I'll call on Minister, will you take us into committee?
Mr. Speaker, I move that the House now resume in Committee of Supply to consider the estimates of revenue and expenditure for 2026-2027.
Are there any objections to that? I didn't think so. MP Pierman, you have the chair.
Good morning, members. We are now in the Committee of Supply for estimates of revenue and expenditure for the fiscal year 2026-2027. And for the benefit of the listening public, as the speaker has just indicated, we have a 4-hour debate starting now for the next 4 hours, minus the lunch break. And that will be on the Ministry of Education. The Minister of Education obviously sits in another place, and my understanding is that the former Minister of Education, no, I'm sorry, I'm being told that Honorable Member Dennis Lister III is going to lead the debate on behalf of the government. What does that say? 10:55 is the start time, and MP Lister, you have the floor. The heads, you want to move your heads?
Yep.
Thanks.
To initiate consideration of the heads, Mr. Chair, I move the following heads: 16, Ministry of Education Headquarters; 17, Department of Education; and 41, Bermuda College, be now be taken under consideration.
Thank you, MP or Junior Minister. It has been moved that heads 16, 17, and 41 be approved, be moved. Is there any objection to that motion? No objection. Agreed to. Junior Minister, you have the floor.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. On behalf of Senator the Honorable Crystal C. Caesar, JP, Minister of Education, I am pleased to present the estimates of revenue and expenditure for the Ministry of Education for the fiscal year 26-27. These estimates cover Ministry of Education Headquarters, Head 16, the Department of Education, Head 17, and Bermuda College, Head 41. The budget is a clear statement of what the government prioritizes for children, families, and educators, reflected not only in the spend, but how the resources are allocated. This budget is a demonstration of responsible choices that will create lasting benefits for Bermudians. In 25-26, the minister introduced a stabilization focus so the public school system could deliver consistent, high-quality learning and instruction while longer-term improvements continued. In 26-27, the ministry will continue to build on the stabilization plan to advance sustainable transformation with equitable investment across all public schools. The total Ministry of Education budget for 2026-27 is $156.5 million, a year-over-year increase of $7.3 million or 5%. This increase strengthens the system's capacity to improve learning outcomes, fill critical staffing gaps, and invest in safer, more effective learning environments. The budget is allocated to strengthening school improvement, supervision, and learning outcomes, expand high-quality professional learning for educators to deepen subject knowledge and teaching practice, to fund and fill long-standing vacancies in critical leadership, school staffing, curriculum, and operational roles, to increase grants that support professional development for staff, early intervention, and enrichment in lifelong learning across the community, to advance the transformation of Dan Marjorie B. and Hope Academy, and to expand youth counseling and coordinate supports for child and adolescent mental health. Capital funding has increased by 73% to support stabilization and transformation through targeted upgrades across the entire public school system. Priorities include fare safety and security upgrades, particularly at middle and senior schools, upgrades to school electrical systems, strong information and communication technology, ICT, infrastructure to support continuity in learning, parent communication, and daily school operations, improvements required for accreditation standards, improvements to classroom air quality and cooling. The ministry's scholarships and awards funding has increased by $420,125, bringing the total to $2.2 million for post-secondary education. Funding is also provided for Bermuda College, supporting delivery of its 2025 to 2030 strategic plan, expanded program accessibility, stronger alignment with Bermuda's workforce and economic priorities, and an accreditation review. Overall, the 2026-27 budget positions the Ministry of Education to move from stabilization towards continuous cycles of system improvement, prioritizing safety, equity, inclusion, workforce alignment, stronger outcomes for students and staff effectiveness and well-being. Mr. Chair, I would like to now turn to Head 16, Department of Education.
Thank you. Please continue.
Mr. Chair, as found on page B135 for the 2026-27 financial year, Head 16, the Ministry of Education Headquarters, has been allocated $6,968,027, a decrease of $547,125 compared to 2025-26. The ministry is responsible for providing strategic leadership and policy direction for education and lifelong learning for the people of Bermuda. The supporting objectives of the ministry are delivered under its sole program, 1601 General, which consists of the following business units: 26000 General Administration, 26080 Grants to External Bodies, 26090 Scholarships and Awards, and 26140 Project Office or Education Reform Unit as named in the budget book. Business Unit 26000 General Administration. Business Unit 26000 General is budgeted at $1,155,636, representing an increase of $55,020. This business unit funds the salaries of the Ministry of Education headquarters, small team of 6 full-time equivalents. This business unit also funds training, travel, advertising and promotion, local consulting services, rentals, board and committee fees, office supplies, and the minister's annual debate challenge initiated in 2024 by the former Minister of Education. Bermuda's premier debate competition was created for public and private school students 10 to 14 years of age. Debating fosters critical thinking, advanced research skills, and structured persuasive communication, helping to prepare and inspire future lawyers, youth parliamentarians, and a new generation of aspiring legislators and leaders. Business Unit 26080 Grants to External Bodies. Mr. Chair, Business Unit 26080 Grants to External Bodies is budgeted at $987,000, an increase of $262,000. The 36% increase in this allocation reflects the importance of education, social and economic investments in young children, families, and educators. As per the minister's strategic direction, funding for grants are awarded to support the stabilization priorities and advance educational transformation. These grants strengthen early and emerging literacy, provide educational assessments to children who may have learning differences, support continuing professional learning for educators, and guarantee local post-secondary tuition support for eligible public school graduates through the College Promise program. Grant recipients possess experience in their respective fields, and they are critical partners to education. Grants directed to programming and services for young children and students in the public school system who are: 1, local service providers who provide programs and services that support stabilization and educational transformation; 2, are specialists in their fields; and 3, are attuned to existing challenges, changing needs, and advances in research and best practices. The grants allow investment in qualified local in-service providers and strengthens the sustainability of educational programs and services. Mr. Chair, I am pleased to announce the grants to external bodies for 2026 and 27 will fund targeted reading instruction and intervention services provided by the Reading Clinic for students who are struggling readers, including learners with dyslexia and learning differences. This grant provides screening and assessment where needed and evidence-based structured literacy support to strengthen students' abilities to assess the full curriculum across subject areas, improving overall teaching and learning outcomes. It would also combine educational, therapeutic, recreational programs provided by WinReach Bermuda, using approaches to help students, particularly those with special needs or developmental challenges, build communication, self-regulation, social skills, and functional independence. These supports strengthen readiness to learn, reduce barriers to attendance and engagement, and complement school-based learning plans through structured activities in safe, accessible environments. The Sloop Foundation innovatively provides STEAM education services which are partner-delivered science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics programs that strengthen student engagement and foundational skills. Activities may include robotics, electronics, design and digital making, supporting mathematics and literacy skill development, problem solving, and creativity that support school curriculum. Bermuda Zoological Society science programs, consisting of interactive science classes and field-based learning, which reinforces science curriculum outcomes, build builds student understanding of Bermuda's ecosystem and conservation effort. This program is delivered through the Bermuda Aquarium Museum and Zoo, BAMS. In-school and community music education programs taught by the Menuhin Foundation that include weekly group string instruction in primary schools and performance opportunities. Music learning strengthens students' well-being and engagement, builds discipline and teamwork, and supports the whole child development that complements classroom teaching and learning. Public school science education programs provided by the Bermuda Underwater Exploration Institute, BUI, experiences and sustainability education, including Eco Schools, which is the International Award and Student Action Program, where students carry out sustainability audits and implement sustainable practices. These programs strengthen science learning experiences through hands-on inquiry. They build environmental literacy and provide authentic contexts for teaching and learning across science, social studies, and project-based work. National Educators Institute, NEI, professional learning programs to invest in teaching practice, instructional leadership, and system capacity to deliver improvements in teaching and learning. NEI is a professional learning hub that provides training, networking, research, and resources for Bermuda's educators. Coding instruction taught by Connect Tech, so public school students can learn coding concepts through practical, age-appropriate activities. This builds computational thinking, problem solving, and creativity, and supports student pathways for future learning in technology. Keep Bermuda Beautiful's KBB, school-based environmental education program, which consists of waste reduction lessons, marine debris surveys, school assemblies, and related activities. This programming builds student environmental stewardship and inquiry skills and provides applied learning opportunities connected to science and social studies. Public school experiential learning field trips to reinforce classroom instruction through real-world experiences. Funding offsets cost, increasing access for student participation in learning experiences both locally and abroad, which is available through an application process. CARE, C-A-R-E, Learning Center, Bermuda, to provide an alternative learning environment, academic upgrading, and computer-assisted learning. Programs help students and adult learners strengthen core skills, re-engage with education, and progress toward recognized credentials, i.e. GED preparation or testing support, improve employability and lifelong learning outcomes. College Promise Student Awards to provide tuition for up to 2 years for eligible Bermuda public senior school graduates to attend Bermuda College. The awards can be used to fund certificate programs, associate degrees, and/or credits that can be transferred to a 4-year institution. It should be noted that beginning this year, the GPA requirement is now 2.5, which will allow even more students access post-secondary education at Bermuda's only college location. Mr. Chair, each grant is consistent with the Ministry of Education's stabilization objectives and the Department of Education's supporting priorities, which will be detailed under Head 17, the Department of Education. Business Unit 26090, Scholarships and Awards. Mr. Chair, Business Unit 26090, Scholarships and Awards is budgeted at $2,185,150, an increase of $420,001. The 24% increase brings the total spend on a wide range of scholarships and awards to $2.2 million. In the fiscal year ending 2025, over 70 Bermudian students benefited from ministry scholarships and awards, in many instances providing life-changing opportunities for aspiring and continuing students. For the upcoming fiscal year, the ministry is proud to indicate that an increased number of students will be able to access tertiary education. In particular, the Bermuda government scholarships have increased by 2 specifically to support students demonstrating proficiency and interest in creative arts and health and sports related fields. This is being done in response to the noted additional number of applicants whom are interested in those areas of study but find it difficult to secure funding elsewhere. It is this ministry's aim that students are prepared for a diverse range of fields for Bermuda's future world of work in the economy. Increased funding in these intended and necessary careers supports that vision. Additional funding has also been allocated across several other award categories, including technical and vocational, applied science, non-traditional, teacher education, and teachers sabbatical awards. Mr. Chairman, scholarships and awards are delivered through a structured annual cycle that includes application management, scholarship committee assessment and recommendation, and the timely disbursements of approved awards. The vast majority of the work under this business unit is conducted behind the scenes, but is highly visible during scholarship season. The ministry informs, supports, and attracts applicants with diverse interests, backgrounds, experiences, and academic and technical pursuits. To improve access to scholarships and awards, the ministry, through the scholarship manager, continues targeted outreach and service improvements, including Bermuda Scholarships.bm portal and partner coordination with the Bermuda Foundation for Insurance Studies, BFIS, participation in monthly Bermuda Scholarship Steering Committee meetings to strengthen portal visibility, functionality, and long-term direction, including maintenance planning, marketing, user experience improvements, and expanding island-wide access. Supplementary support includes scholarship promotion and application assistance through weekly accountability workshops and career fair engagement. Parent and family engagement. Delivery of targeted parent-facing information sessions, including participation in the Mirrors program, Find Funds for College webinar, to provide families with clear scholarship timelines, application guidance, and practical planning tools. School-based outreach. Scholarship presentations delivered to students and youth-serving programs, including the Barclay Institute and Cedar Bridge S4 assemblies and informationals, and the Peer Forward Spring Training Camp, among others. Youth-led promotion. Use of scholarship recipients to increase awareness and credibility of ministry support, including student contributions during the Mirrors webinar highlighting how ministry funding supported their academic pathways. Communications and marketing. Continued use of past recipients to promote scholarships, including animated promotional videos to strengthen engagement and application uptake. Mr. Chairman, promises made, promises kept. The Ministry of Education has achieved the mandate of increasing the scope of scholarship offerings and expanding the College Promise program to support young adults in their academic pursuits. Business Unit 26140, Project Office, ERU, and Professional Services. Mr. Chair, Business Unit 26140, which supports the Project Office, or formerly known as the Education Reform Unit, and associated professional services, is budgeted at $2,640,241, and a decrease of $1,284,270. The decrease in this allocation is due to the conclusion of the last contract for the Overseas Consultants Innovation Unit, now third story, valued at $2,194,311 for 2025-26. The Project Office is a program within the Ministry of Education headquarters, which assists in stabilizing the current state of public education while continuing to transform to the desired future state of an improved education system. The focus of the Project Office has been tightened to focus on teaching, learning, and student outcomes. Mechanisms for coordination and collaboration between the Project Office, schools, and the DOE are in place to ensure alignment and cohesion of the critical transformative work under development. Mr. Chair, the phrase platform in motion validates active, ongoing progress and the transformation of Dame Marjorie Bean Hope Academy represents a significant milestone for the educational transformation work that has commenced for special education. A structured, evidence-informed, and research-based process is underway to design a new specialized school model for students with severe to profound intellectual disabilities and complex developmental delays who require multi-layered interdisciplinary support. Foundational work has also been completed, including research to ground the approach in current and international best practices, early engagement with parents and staff, and a clear co-design methodology to guide decision-making and build shared ownership. Progress to date also demonstrates exceptional momentum and participation, as demonstrated by 36 applications and a selection process that resulted in a diverse multidisciplinary school transformation team made up of educators, parents, therapists, industry technical experts, and community stakeholders. Onboarding phases are well underway, with strong attendance and a practical structure aligned to priority areas such as infrastructure, curriculum, pedagogy, assessment, therapeutic supports, stakeholder engagement, and unique school features. This work stream is being led by a local educator, Mrs. Clendell Lowe. Mrs. Lowe has been actively engaged in the transformation to work to date, and as a result, she has developed the necessary capabilities and agile mindset which positions her to build and lead this transformation journey in excellence. Simultaneously, the ministry is delivering on the mandate to promote and proudly celebrate homegrown talent leading system improvements and transformative work that will impact the lives of students and families. To support this work stream, scheduled collaboration with school leadership, teachers, and student services section with the DOE is arranged to maintain alignment, accountability, and transparency. Regular engagement with parents and staff is a strong component of the methodology. Recently, the lead of this work stream provided an overview of the work to date to the Bermuda Union of Teachers, as several of the members of the transformation team are educators. Mr. Chair, stabilization and educational transformation work underway within the special school will also be supported by policy development and special education legislation in the 2026-27 and guided by the insights emanating from the design process. Mr. Chairman, the Ministry of Education continues to deliver on the mandate of an education authority, which requires transparency and a strategic rollout plan. In spite of past delays in addressing potential legal considerations, I am pleased to advise that a draft bill, after several rounds of deliberation to establish an education authority, has been achieved. In line with our ongoing commitment to meaningfully engage in two-way communication with education partners and stakeholder representatives, the Ministry of Education will meet with unions, school boards, PTA executives, Department of Education staff, teachers, principals, and others on the development of the Education Authority. This is an important opportunity for the ministry to listen to various interests and questions and to use the feedback to refine and improve iteration of the draft bill and a collaborative approach that includes stakeholders in the continuing education authority phases of work, which requires legislation and shared implementation. Mr. Chair, as we reflect on what has been shared so far in this brief, it is very evident that transformative practices and principles of change management remain as a priority, and the hard work has not been paused. From manifesto to milestones, the journey of a series of milestones and achievements had been summarized today. Effective transformation is not about a single moment in time, but a commitment to continuous improvement cycles and focusing on variables that have the most impact on student outcomes. The Ministry of Education headquarters remains steadfast in the pursuit of providing all students with a quality education as we continue to work through structural tier changes inclusive of infrastructure challenges. Mr. Chair, I now turn to the subjective analysis of current account estimates on page B136. The subjective analysis of current account estimates are shown for the Ministry of Education headquarters.
Thank you, MP.
You're welcome.
B136. Yep.
Yep. Salaries stand at $717,000 and show a minimal increase of $40,000 when compared to 2025-26. The travel expenditure line item of $97,000 remains the same when compared to last year. This funds the attendance at conferences and engaging other jurisdictions that have implemented education improvements that may be beneficial to the Bermuda public school system. Expenditure for grants and contributions increased by $672,000. The full breakdown of the $3,125,000 budgeted for grants and contributions can be found on page C18 of the budget book. Mr. Chair, $2,118,000 has been budgeted for professional services. This reflects a decrease of $1,260,000 for consultancy services, primarily as a result of the end of the innovation unit or third story contract at the end of 2025. Mr. Chair, on page B136, the number of full-time equivalents or employees in the Ministry of Education remained the same as last year at 6 FTEs and funds all posts except for the permanent secretary. Finally, Mr. Chair, on page B137, performance measures for the ministry headquarters are outlined. The targeted outcomes for last year were either achieved or are in the process of being completed. Take a water break.
Thank you. As the minister is pausing there, we are in the Committee of Supply for Revenue, Estimates of Revenues Expenditure for the budget year 2026, 2027, and we are in the first hour of the education debate, which is being presented by the Junior Minister of Legal Affairs, MP Lister. MP Lister, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to highlight performance measures for Business Unit 2608, grants to external bodies, as all grant applications to recipients were processed by the target date of July 31st, and all grant finances and stated outcomes were reviewed by March 31st. For Business Unit 26090, Scholarships and Awards, the Scholarships and Awards Committee made recommendations for recipients to the minister by the deadline of July 31st, and the ministry HQ ensured that scholarship funds were dispersed by October 31st of last year. Mr. Chair, this budget reflects the commitment to stabilization, impactful transformative practices, and school improvement planning that is student-centered while maintaining fiscal responsibility. I am confident that the approval of the budget for Head 16 will provide the enabling conditions to achieve the strategic priorities. Before closing, I would like to acknowledge the work of the entire team, ably led by the permanent secretary that supports one of the government's largest ministries, which impacts a large portion of Bermuda's community and ultimately our future. Thank you, Mr. Chair. This concludes my presentation for the budget for Head 16, the Ministry of Education headquarters.
Thank you, MP Lister. We're going to now take us on, I believe, to Head 17 when you're ready.
Head 17, Department of Education. I will now present the budget for Head 17, the Department of Education. The 2026-27 budget has been increased by $7,816,000 to bring the total allocation to $156,460,000. This represents a 6% increase to deliver the priorities of stabilization and educational transformation. Mr. Chair, as we continue to advance education transformation, we remain committed to ensuring that each and every learner in Bermuda's public schools, regardless of which school they attend, has access to high quality, culturally relevant, future focused learning experiences. Our work is anchored in a clear vision, an education system where all young people are educated to lead personally and professionally, compete locally, and contribute globally. Our mission, which advances our vision and supports system stabilization, charges us to provide all students with equitable access to holistic, high-quality instruction that empowers them to reach their full potential. Mr. Chairman, our priorities for the 2026-27 academic year reflect both the aspirations of our transformation agenda and the operational realities of our schools. These priorities include strengthening our students' literacy, numeracy, science, and digital literacy skills, monitoring curriculum implementation, enhancing instructional and assessment practices, and embedding social emotional well-being into the daily life of every school. We are also focused on targeted student interventions, celebrating staff and student excellence, developing staff and leadership capacity, and improving our protocols, data systems, and progress monitoring processes. Together, these priorities ensure that our work remains focused, accountable, and responsive to the needs of our learners. Mr. Chair, our key overarching activities also advance our vision. We are increasing academic rigor and student engagement through diverse and differentiated curricula. We are ensuring career, college, and workforce readiness by integrating academic and vocational pathways through signature programs at our senior schools. We are using professional development to strengthen and enhance the quality of teaching and leadership and to drive sustained improvement in student achievement. We are investing in infrastructure, cleaning equipment, and resources to ensure that students learn in clean, healthy environments. We are strengthening operational systems to enable a high-performing public education system. Mr. Chair, this budget brief outlines the financial investments needed to support our priorities and to continue building a school system that is inclusive, innovative, empowering, and grounded in the Bermuda context, all with the clear aim of improving student outcomes. Program 1701, Central Administration. Program 1701, Central Administration, has been allocated $11,039,000 for 2026-27. This represents an increase of $2,752,000. Mr. Chairman, within that program, there is Business Unit 27000 General Administration, which is allocated $1,484,000, an increase of $932,000. The budget for this business unit provides for the procurement of essential educational resources, cleaning supplies, and operational materials that support teaching, learning, safety, and daily school operations. This allocation ensures that teachers and students have the core materials needed for teaching and learning, that administrative teams have the supplies required for smooth operations, and that custodians have the materials and equipment necessary to maintain clean and safe school environments. This funding keeps schools adequately supplied throughout the year, preventing shortages that could disrupt instruction or daily operations. Business Unit 27001, Office of the Commissioner, is allocated $1,119,000, an increase of $298,000. The Office of the Commissioner provides strategic leadership, system-wide oversight, and regulatory stewardship to ensure quality teaching, effective school operations, effective department operation, and accountability for student outcomes across Bermuda's public schools. This office drives school improvement, implements transformation initiatives, and monitors performance to strengthen outcomes for all students at the school level and the system level. Mr. Chair, under the stewardship of the Commissioner of Education, this business unit provides strategic leadership and system-wide oversight to ensure curriculum delivery, quality teaching, and effective school operations across Bermuda's public schools. It ensures regulatory stewardship through policy compliance, adherence to standards, and the application of legal requirements. It drives school improvement and the implementation of transformation initiatives that strengthen instructional quality and organizational effectiveness. It monitors schools and system performance to improve outcomes for all students. It supports operational planning to enable equitable delivery of education services. It implements strategic initiatives that advance the priorities of the Bermuda public school system. In 2025-26, the Office of the Commissioner implemented a new continuous improvement structure. The school improvement plan structure and school improvement cycle were revised and linked to the principal evaluation system to strengthen coherent, data-driven improvement and instructional focus. The revised school improvement plan and cycle linked to principal evaluation establishes a unified, data-driven approach that sharpens instructional focus and strengthens continuous improvement. Collectively, these initiatives undergird efforts to improve student outcomes. Additionally, the increased financial investment for 2026-27 will strengthen operational oversight by adding dedicated leadership capacity to manage procurement, budgeting, compliance, and reporting. It will also improve service quality and responsiveness across schools by ensuring timely administrative support, streamlined workflows, and reduce bottlenecks for principals and instructional teams. In 26-27, priorities will focus on strengthening discipline delivery and accountability across the system. Business Unit 27030, Human Resources, is allocated $672,000, an increase of $17,000. Mr. Chair, this increase reflects incremental adjustments in compensation levels necessary to sustain reliable administrative services and workflows. In fiscal year 25-26, this business unit supported staff morale and organizational stability by holding an award celebration to recognize employees who achieved 5-year service milestones through a formal long service celebration. This recognition strengthened staff members' sense of value and belonging and contributed to a more positive and motivated workplace culture, which supports retention, continuity, and stability across our schools. Mr. Chair, in fiscal year 26-27, the business unit's primary priority is to fill the administrative assistant, secretary, and file clerk posts substantively, ensuring sustainable administrative services and increase efficiency by using digitized systems. This will improve workflow management, accelerate processing of documents and correspondence, and reduce bottlenecks caused by rotating or temporary staff. Mr. Chair, Business Unit 27031, Staff Development, is allocated $913,000, an increase of $131,000. The budget for Business Unit 2701 provides funding for a substantive staff development officer, mentor teachers, and the system-wide professional development program that supports educators across the BPSS. The staff development officer is central to strengthening the coordination, quality assurance, and alignment of professional learning across the BPSS. This dedicated role will enable the department to streamline system-wide professional development, ensure consistency across schools, and embed research-based practices that directly support improved teaching and learning. Funding for mentor teacher salaries remains essential to the effective delivery of the Bermuda Teacher Induction Program, BTIP. BTIP mentors provide high-quality, personalized professional development and coaching that strengthens the skills, confidence, and retention of new Bermudian teachers during their first and second years in the system. Their support ensures that beginning teachers develop strong instructional practices, understand system expectations, and contribute positively to school culture. This mentoring work supports stabilization and complements broader system improvements. Business Unit 27090, Educational Standards and Accountability, is allocated $1,112,000, an increase of $101,000. Mr. Chair, the Educational Standards and Accountability ESA unit monitors system-wide standards for teaching, learning, and school performance, ensuring every school is working toward meeting those expectations. The unit strengthens principal development by providing coaching and leadership support that builds strong instructional leaders. It also coordinates professional development so that leaders have the skills, tools, and practices needed to raise student achievement. During the 2025-26 school year, ESA facilitated principals' professional learning sessions on the development and implementation of school improvement plans, SIPs, including the use of implementation data, progress monitoring data, and the full set of processes and procedures required to execute SIPs competently. Through professional learning, the ESA unit enables principals to translate system priorities into daily practice, resulting in more coherent instructional delivery, more responsive student support systems, and measurable gains in student learning across Bermuda's public schools. Mr. Chairman, attendance and registration services has been returned to Business Unit 27090, Educational Standards and Accountability, and no longer Business Unit 27095, School Attendance. This team implements systems to ensure children of compulsory school age are enrolled in school and attending daily. It oversees the annual school registration and transfer process, monitors attendance trends across all schools, and supports system-wide efforts to reduce chronic absenteeism through consistent reporting, data audits, and continuous process improvement. It also provides data and recommendations to ministry and department leadership to support decisions on enrollment, placements, and capacity planning. The functions and main activities of this unit include daily attendance monitoring and school support, such as guidance on attendance practices, training for school staff on Power School entries and coding, and daily contact with parents or guardians to confirm unexplained absences and ensure student safety. This unit also manages the full annual registration process across year levels, including timelines, open house schedules, placement criteria, capacity constraints, award letters, appeals and transfer processing. In addition, it delivers high volume data collection and reporting, including monthly attendance reporting. In 2025-26, attendance monitoring was strengthened through training and daily parent contact protocols. School administrative assistants received training, and attendance officers were included in multi-tiered systems of support, MTSS, discussions so that students missing 10% or more of school days could be identified earlier and supported more consistently. Looking to 2026-27, priorities are focused on modernizing attendance practices and conducting a comprehensive review of the attendance officer role. Mr. Chair, Business Unit 27160, Substitutes, is allocated $5,739,000, an increase of $1,273,000. This program ensures uninterrupted learning and stable school operations by deploying trained, qualified Bermuda Educators Council licensed personnel to provide classroom coverage whenever teachers or staff are absent. Mr. Chair, the additional funding strengthens year-round staffing stability by ensuring allocated substitutes are available daily at every primary, middle, senior, and special school. It expands the pool of trained, qualified substitutes, improving the program's ability to respond quickly to teacher and staff absences. This critical program safeguards instructional and service time and supports student well-being by maintaining continuity of teaching and learning across all public schools. Program 1702, Student Services. Mr. Chair, Program 1702, Student Services is allocated $21,671,000 for the 2006-27 year. This represents a decrease of $42,000. Student services exist to ensure that every student, regardless of ability, background, or need, has equitable access to education and the individualized support required to succeed. This unit is grounded in the understanding that learning is not a one-size-fits-all, and students arrive with diverse strengths, challenges, and circumstances that require differentiated approaches. Student services provide specialized expertise and targeted interventions through the multi-tiered system of supports process, working with school teams to remove barriers to learning and promote full participation in the educational experience. Ultimately, student services exist to uphold equity, inclusion, and the right of every child in the Bermuda public school system to reach their highest potential. Business Unit 27061, Behavior Management, is allocated $1,883,000 for 2026-27, an increase of $49,000. This business unit provides targeted behavioral support across the school system. The education officer supervises educational therapists and educational therapist assistants in implementing individualized classroom management plans, behavior intervention support plans, functional behavior assessments, and behavior intervention plans. The majority of spend for this business unit covers salaries. Performance Measures Behavior Management 1702. Mr. Chair, the performance measure for this unit tracks the percentage of students whose behavior intervention support plans, or BSIPs, were created with full fidelity. These plans are an essential part of the multi-tiered system of support, ensuring that students with significant behavioral needs receive structured, evidence-based interventions. For the 2024-2025 school year, this unit achieved its target of 100% conformity in the creation of BISPs. This reflects strong adherence to required processes and a clear commitment to supporting students with the highest behavioral needs. Information about Business Unit 27062 Success Academy, which is allocated $28,000, will be provided under Business Unit 27084 Alternative Education Program. Business Unit 27063 School Psychology is allocated $1,335,000, an increase of $40,000. Funding for this program supports the work of school psychologists with clinical expertise, as well as the assessment tools and materials required to complete student evaluations. School psychologists provide comprehensive services that promote student success across academic, social, emotional, and behavioral domains. Their work supports schools by consulting with educators and families, conducting psychoeducational assessments, delivering interventions, and contributing to initiatives that strengthen student well-being and learning outcomes. The program operates through direct support to individual students and support to schools teams. School psychologists also work with teachers, families, and leadership teams to identify learning needs and barriers to success. In addition, school psychologists conduct comprehensive psychoeducational evaluations and provide recommendations that guide interventions. They support mental health and well-being by helping schools strengthen classroom supports and improve school climate, and they contribute to crisis prevention and response so schools can protect student safety and emotional stability during critical incidents. In the fiscal year 25-26, all schools had a school psychologist assigned, ensuring access to assessment support and consultation throughout the year and continuity of services regardless of school placement or staffing changes. Where urgent demand increased, the team also redeployed capacity to meet those needs. The additional funding provided last year was utilized to secure additional services to support a high volume of assessments from one senior school where timely psychoeducational evaluations were most urgent, enabling students to receive evaluations and appropriate supports. In fiscal year 26-27, the program's priority is to strengthen capacity to respond to complex mental health and behavioral needs while preserving early intervention and preventative support. For this unit, the performance measure tracked the percentage of psychoeducational assessments completed between April 1st, 2025 and January 31st, 2026. This performance measure is significant because it tracks the timely completion of psychoeducational assessments, which are essential for identifying learning needs and ensuring students receive the appropriate supports to strengthen academic rigor and engagement. Between April 2025 and January 2026, 24 referrals were assigned and 19 were completed, resulting in a completion rate of 73%. To improve performance, this unit will continue working closely with schools to streamline the assessment process, ensuring timely submission of required documentation, and support parents in attending feedback meetings. Strengthening coordination between schools and psychologists will help reduce delays and improve completion rates. Business Unit 27064, Adapted Physical Education, is allocated $346,000, an increase of $14,000. The Adaptive Physical Education Program provides developmentally appropriate physical education opportunities for students with diverse needs. Its purpose is to help students to get active and stay active by offering the individualized support, modifications, and adaptive strategies needed for meaningful participation in physical education. Through this program, students are integrated into the regular physical education curriculum to the greatest extent possible, promoting inclusion, skill development, and improved physical well-being. This program is delivered by adapted physical education teachers. These specialist teachers work across Bermuda school zones and provide direct support to students who require adapted instruction, while also advising and coaching school staff to strengthen inclusive participation in physical education. In 2025-26, one of the program's most significant achievements was strengthening the partnership with Special Olympics Bermuda and successfully delivering the Adapted Physical Education and Special Olympics National Track and Field Invitational in May 2025. This collaboration expanded opportunities for students with diverse needs to participate in inclusive athletic events, showcase their skills, and engage in meaningful physical activity within a supportive community environment. Business Unit 27065 Hearing is allocated $214,000 for 26-27, an increase of $7,000. This business unit supports students who are deaf or hard of hearing so that they can fully access instruction and school life. The purpose of this program is to remove communication barriers by ensuring students receive specialized services, the right communication support, such as sign language, classroom amplification systems or captioning, and learning materials adapted to their individual hearing profiles. In 2025-26, the program strengthened staff capacity through professional learning in differentiated instruction and learning styles. In 26-27, priorities will focus on strengthening dedicated hearing services by securing protected time for hearing-specific work, enhancing early identification and monitoring through regular checks and classroom observation, and expanding timely access to assistive technology such as amplification and captioning tools. Business Unit 27066 Vision is allocated $119,000 for 26-27, an increase of $70,000. This business unit supports students who are visually impaired so they can access learning on equal terms with their peers. Students receive specialized instruction, books, and learning materials in accessible formats, including Braille, large print, and digital media, and the equipment and technology needed to participate fully in both core and expanded curricula. The program's functions and main activities center on building transferable skills that enable independence and participation. This program is also strengthened through partnerships including Vision Bermuda, which supports post-secondary transitions and planning. In 2026-27, priorities will focus on strengthening MTSS capability for vision services so tiered supports are delivered consistently, improving mathematics instruction using students' learning preferences to increase engagement and confidence, and strengthening reading comprehension through explicit strategies aligned to how students access text through either Braille, large print, audio, and tactile supports. Business Unit 27069, Gifted and Talented, is allocated $131,000, an increase of $6,000. The increased funding to this business unit will support innovative learning experiences and resources for students identified as gifted and/or talented. Business Unit 27071, Office Support, is allocated $634,000, an increase of $23,000. This business unit supports the administrative backbone of student services so that learning support, school psychology, counseling, behavior management, and other specialist supports can operate smoothly and consistently. Its purpose is to ensure that essential student support processes, scheduling, documentation, communication, and records are handled efficiently so specialist staff can focus on providing direct services to students and schools. In 2026-27, the priority is to reduce communication gaps and strengthen timely information flow across staff, families, and stakeholders. This is intended to support smoother operations, more effective coordination, and stronger partnerships that ultimately improve student outcomes. Business Unit 27072, Counseling, is allocated $3,432,000, an increase of $231,000. Mr. Chair, this business unit supports a comprehensive counseling program that strengthens students' academic, social, emotional, and future career success. Its purpose is to provide a structured developmental system of support grounded in international standards through classroom guidance, individual planning, responsive services, and system-level coordination aligned to the multi-tiered system of supports, MTSS. In 25-26, the program strengthened cross-government collaboration by partnering with the Department of Health to integrate mental health activities across primary, middle, and senior schools. Evidence of strengthened programming includes the Primary Movie Mental Health Initiative on May 12, 2025, the Middle School Mental Health Roadshow and Senior School Youth Mental Health Summit on October 16th and 17th, 2025, and Children's Mental Health Awareness Week activities, the 9th to 15th of February, 2026. In 2026-27, priorities include revising classroom guidance lessons to integrate additional mental health focused activities that strengthen students' coping skills, resilience, and emotional literacy, and continue to strengthen partnerships with local mental health providers, including through professional learning days and sustained collaboration with the Department of Health. Business Unit 2703, Summer Program, is allocated $18,000. Business Unit 27074, learning support is allocated $4,755,000, an increase of $290,000. This business unit supports specialized learning support and special education services across preschool, primary, middle, and senior schools, as well as at the Dan Marjorie B. and Hope Academy, and with trauma responsive programs at the Success Academies. Its purpose is to ensure students with diverse learning needs receive targeted, evidence-based interventions that promote academic growth, independence, and equitable access to the curriculum. In 2025-26, professional development strengthened delivery capacity across the system. Training in differentiated instruction and learning styles strengthened teachers' ability to tailor instruction. MTSS training strengthened consistency and competency in tiered interventions and restorative practices. In 2026-27, priorities include continuing to strengthen MTSS implementation through ongoing training, coaching, and support across school teams, target overseas recruitment to hire learning support teachers with specialized credentials in autism, developmental delay, and other high needs areas. Performance measures for individual education programs, IEPs 1702. The department monitors the individualized education programs IEP process to ensure that students identified with specific learning disabilities receive appropriate, high-quality support that is responsive to their individual needs. For the 2025-26 year, the system achieved 100% KPI targets, meeting both the established baseline and the annual target. Excuse me. This level of consistency reflects strong procedural adherence and underscores the importance of maintaining robust supports for learning support teachers. Budget allocations directly sustain this performance measure by funding learning support teacher positions, instructional resources, and targeted professional development that strengthens the quality and consistency of IEP implementation across schools. Business Unit 27076, Early Childhood Education, is allocated $137,000 with no change from 2025-26, which reflects a salary and required resources. Business Unit 27079, Paraprofessionals, is allocated $6,857,000, a decrease of $475,000. This funding supports paraeducators who provide essential in-class and one-to-one support across the full educational spectrum. Paraprofessionals are responsible for assisting teachers in reinforcing instructional activities, providing one-to-one support for designated students, including academic, behavioral, and functional supports to align to IEP goals, implementing behavior plans through prompting and redirection, supporting toileting, mobility, and personal care needs with dignity and safety, and providing vision and hearing support such as adapting materials, scribing, and assisting with access to assistive devices. In 2025-26, professional development strengthened paraeducator practice. Training in differentiated instruction and learning styles strengthen skills to support diverse learner needs and improve engagement. MTSS training clarified roles and strengthened data-informed tiered interventions. In 2026-27, the priority is continued MTSS training so paraeducators have common language and practical tools aligned to tiered intervention expectations. Mr. Chair, Business Unit 27083 Autism is allocated $741,000, a decrease of $185,000. The autism program's core functions are to ensure appropriate placement of documented and eligible students into autism spectrum diagnosis, ASD, classrooms or the least restrictive environment based on individual needs, provide specialized instruction using evidence-based practices that support communication, social development, behavior regulation, and academic growth, and ensure system-wide support for students with ASD across primary, middle, senior, and special school settings to promote continuity of service and equitable access to resources. In 25-26, there was a notable increase in successful and meaningful inclusion. Students were integrated more regularly from ASD classrooms into general education classrooms with or without additional support. This reflects improved readiness and stronger collaboration between autism program staff and school teams, and reinforces the department's commitment to meaningful access to the least restrictive environment. As evidence, approximately 10 children in primary and middle schools are successfully participating in mainstream programs this year. Looking to 2026-27, the priority is to establish an additional autism classroom to accommodate the increasing number of students who require specialized support. Business Unit 27084, Alternative Education Program, is allocated $1,041,041, which is a 10% decrease of $112,000. This business unit supports Success Academy and other alternative education provision for students who require a different environment to regulate behavior and ultimately reintegrate into regular classroom settings. These alternative placements have students re-engage with learning, and in order to progress towards these alternative placements help students re-engage with learning and in order to progress towards recognized qualifications. They also provide personalized and flexible learning experiences, emphasize life skills and practical knowledge, and aim to prepare learners for future opportunities in vocational fields, higher education, or employment while maintaining an appropriate, safe, and inclusive environment. Alternative education is designed to focus on re-engagement and hands-on learning to help build students' confidence and see a realistic pathway to transition and completion of the educational journey. In 2025-26, students demonstrated growth by achieving personalized milestones. For some learners, this included earning a General Education Development (GED), high school equivalency diploma, or progressing through key GED subject areas, such as completing 3 out of 4 subcategories. These outcomes reflect steady guidance from school counselors and alternative education staff and show that with consistent support and a clear plan, students facing significant barriers can make real progress toward recognized qualifications. Looking to 26-27, priorities focus on expanding appropriate, equitable access to alternative placements and strengthening safe environments in which alternative learning is delivered. Part of the plan is to explore additional community partners across parishes in order to provide a wider array of alternative experiences for the students in these programs. Program 1703, Finance and Corporate. Program 1703, Finance and Corporate, is allocated $7,964,000 for 26-27. This represents an increase of $963,000. This program supports financial, facility, information technology, compliance, and operational safety and health for the Department of Education and Schools. Business Unit 27002, Finance and Corporate Services, is allocated $790,000, a decrease of $8,000. This business unit supports the Department of Education to operate efficiently, transparently, and sustainably by providing financial stewardship, corporate governance, and essential administrative services. The functions and main activities cover the core finance operations that keep the system running. The team processes the salaries for over 1,000 educators and staff, processes payments to suppliers and vendors, ensures accurate reconciliation of leave entitlements, advises on financial efficiencies, and plays a key role in identifying cost-saving measures. This unit's work also supports procurement, operational planning, and compliance so that schools and programs receive the resources and services they need when they need them. Looking to 2026-27, the business unit will also continue strengthening compliance controls, particularly for school-based processes such as petty cash, through training, timely signatory updates, and increased monitoring for higher risk sites, helping to protect public funds and maintain stable operational support to schools. Business Unit 27003, Office Accommodation, is allocated $1,044,000, an increase of $9,000. This business unit funds the rent, telephone services, electricity, and cleaning services for the Department of Education office space. Mr. Chair, the Department of Education previously operated with staff spread across the central office and satellite sites, and many officers were placed in schools because of long-standing space constraints. With the establishment of the new consolidated site, the department can now accommodate the majority of its officers in one location. Centralizing officers in a single location has strengthened collaboration, communication, and cross-team coordination, enabling more cohesive planning and more consistent implementation of system-wide priorities. A unified site is helping to build a stronger organizational culture, which in turn is creating more coherent system leadership and more reliable, high-quality support for schools and students. Business Unit 27040, Educational Stores, is allocated $671,000, an increase of $105,000. The Stores Division serves as the centralized hub for procuring, receiving, safeguarding, and distributing essential materials, supplies, and equipment required for the effective functioning of all public schools. This team ensures that schools are consistently equipped with the educational resources, cleaning supplies, personal protective equipment, and operational materials needed to support teaching, learning, safety, and daily school operations. The Stewards Division manages the full procurement cycle, purchasing items in direct response to documented needs from curriculum officers and school leaders. It maintains storage facilities and inventory and monitors stock levels to ensure timely replenishment. Business Unit 27041, School Transport, is allocated $557,000, an increase of $49,000. This business unit supports safe, reliable daily transportation so that students can access specialized and therapeutic programs without transportation barriers. It provides daily transport for students attending Dame Marjorie Bean Hope Academy and for primary school students who participate in programs at Winreach, ensuring consistent access to the educational and therapeutic supports those programs provide. Business Unit 27042, Buildings, Grounds, and Equipment, is allocated $1,908,000, an increase of $512,000. This unit funds one salary and covers the cost of repairs and maintenance for facilities at all educational and administrative sites that fall under the Department of Education. These include preschools, maintained primary and middle schools, Dame Marjorie Bean Hope Academy, alternative education sites, and the Department of Education. This business unit provides services in concert with external vendors and public works to ensure that public schools operate in safe, healthy, and secure environments. It does so by maintaining buildings, essential equipment, and life safety systems, providing custodial care and pest control, conducting health and safety inspections, and supplying manned security where needed. In 2025-26, 3 achievements stand out for their impact on students and staff. First, the installation of non-skid, non-wax vinyl planking in multiple schools, improving floor safety, durability, and cleanliness in high traffic areas. Second, targeted work to address indoor air quality issues, improve classroom comfort and well-being. Third, the installation of double glazed polyvinyl chloride or PVC windows with Instax screens and upgraded frames improved environmental control and comfort at some schools. In 2026-27, priorities focus on ensuring reliable water and sanitation systems to prevent health risks and avoid school day disruption, modernizing aging infrastructure, including electrical systems, HVAC units, and structural components to reduce breakdowns and improve comfort, and strengthening preventative maintenance and health and safety compliance through routine inspections, scheduled servicing, and timely repairs. These priorities protect instructional time and reinforce public confidence that schools are safe, clean, and well managed. Business Unit 27050, Information Technology Support, is allocated $2,994,000, an increase of $296,000. This business unit exists to make sure the Ministry of Education, the Department of Education, and the Bermuda Public School System have the day-to-day technology support they need to operate smoothly. In plain terms, this means keeping school systems running, protecting information, supporting staff and students to use digital tools confidently, and ensuring that technology improves teaching and learning rather than disrupting it. Information technology, or IT support, is responsible for essentials that schools rely on each day: stable internet connections, reliable wireless access in learning spaces, working devices, and prompt support when something breaks. The team also sets common standards and oversees projects and suppliers. It maintains information security controls and business continuity arrangements so learning can continue and sensitive information remains protected. In fiscal year 25-26, the business unit made measurable progress in strengthening communications and connectivity, such as the Bermuda Public School System Technology Architecture redesign is transitioning schools to a single, centrally managed telephone system hosted within the Department of Education data center to improve reliability and enable enhanced services such as automated school notification. Piloting Wi-Fi 6 at West Pembroke and Victor Scott Primary improve wireless access by increasing speed and reliability for day-to-day classroom use. Upgrades at Harrington Son, Dalton E. Tucker, Delwood, and St. George's Prep to improve the stability and responsiveness of school connections so essential devices and services work more consistently. The unit also reports performance measures focused on reliable school connectivity. For wireless coverage, the baseline and annual target are 90%, and actual performance met the target. Where weak signals are reported through the DOE IT service desk, additional wiring and access points are installed as needed. For fiber optic connectivity, the baseline and annual target are 100%, and actual performance met the target across preschool, primary, and middle school campuses. Internet availability is also tracked with a baseline and annual target of 100%, and actual performance meeting the expectation for active connectivity. The department monitors usage and undertakes bandwidth upgrades when needed. The unit also tracks minimum connection speed and Wi-Fi availability in key spaces. All campuses are required to maintain a minimum internet speed of 70 megabits per second with a baseline and annual target of 100%. Actual performance met the target. All campuses are also required to maintain full Wi-Fi availability in school libraries, gymnasiums, and computer laboratories with a baseline and annual target of 100%. actual performance met the target of 100%. In fiscal year 26-27, priorities focus on better day-to-day use of key systems, stronger security, and ensuring core tools are current and supported. Mr. Chair, I now turn to page B140 to discuss Program 1704, Preschools, which encompasses the total budget for all 10 government preschools.
MP Lister, if you want to just pause there for a breath, I will just
Yes.
inform the listening public. We are in the Committee of Supply at the moment, considering estimates of revenue and expenditure for the year 2026, 2027. This is a 4-hour debate on the Ministry of Education. MP Lister is taking us through on behalf of the minister who sits in another place. We've already heard head 16 rather, and we are now in the middle of head 17. For those following in the budget book, that would be now the MP is taking us to B140, and I believe the next topic is preschools.
Yes.
MP Lister, you have the floor. Thank you. Please continue.
Here. To discuss Program 1704, Preschools, which encompasses the total budget for all 10 government preschools. The total budget allocation is $5,808,000 for 2026-27. This represents an increase of $807,000. Preschools build the foundational developmental and learning skills children need to succeed. Through structured, play-based learning guided by the creative curriculum, children develop communication, problem-solving, and peer engagement skills in preparation for year one at the primary school phase. Some of the additional funding for preschools will allow the department to purchase additional learning materials and expand experiential learning opportunities, including field trips that connect classroom concepts to real-world community settings. Mr. Chair, in fiscal year 24-25, we can now confirm that the program delivered strong early learning outcomes, supporting readiness for the next stage of schooling. This program also strengthened assessment quality. Of the 52 teachers utilizing the Teaching Standards Gold Assessment, 85% completed inter-rater reliability certification training, supporting accurate and consistent assessment practices across classrooms. Performance measures for preschool program 1704. Mr. Chairman, the program's performance measures provide accountability for foundational learning and whole child development. Performance measure 1, preschool literacy and numeracy achievement. This measure tracks the percentage of preschool students meeting established literacy and numeracy standards using Teaching Strategies Go. For 2024-2025, baseline results were 94% for literacy and 93% for numeracy, exceeding the target of 90% by 4 and 3 percentage points, respectively. Performance measure 2, preschool social, emotional, physical, and cognitive development. This measure tracks the percentage of preschoolers meeting system standards across social, emotional, physical, and cognitive domains using Teaching Strategies Gold checkpoints. The 2024-2025 baseline indicated 89% achievement across the 3 domains, 1 percentage point below the target of 90. Mr. Chair, the planned priorities for fiscal year 26-27 are focused on sustaining outcomes while strengthening rigor and primary one readiness. Mr. Chairman, Program 1705, Primary Schools, is allocated $34,683,000 for 26-27. This represents an increase of $2,532,000. This allocation supports the operational cost of providing high-quality education across this school level. The primary school performance measure for writing assessed the percentage of P3 to P6 students achieving a score of 3 or higher on the end-of-year writing assessment. The target was set at 65%, and the actual outcome was 41%. The primary school mathematics performance measure tracked the percentage of P3 to P6 students scoring 3 or higher on summative mathematics assessments, which evaluate mastery of the units taught throughout the year and students' overall conceptual understanding. The target was set at 7%, 70%, and the actual result was 40%. Mr. Chairman, the planned priorities for fiscal year 26-27 are focused on increasing quality instruction and such that primary school will deliver increased outcomes that are more in line with targeted expectations. Program 1706, Special Schools, is allocated $1,189,000 for 26-27. This represents an increase of $23,000. This program and business unit support Dan Marjorie Bean Hope Academy, Bermuda's Special School for Children with Severe and Profound Learning Disabilities and Complex Care Needs. DAME provides specialized therapies, individualized instruction, adaptive equipment, and a trained staff team designed for student growth, progress, and well-being. In 2026-27, priorities focus on stabilizing day-to-day service delivery while beginning school transformation work that results in a more modern model of provision for a new facility and modernized programming that better meets student needs. Program 1707, Middle Schools. Program 1707, Middle Schools, is allocated $13,599,000 for 2026-27. This represents an increase of $31,000. The allocation for Business Unit 27590 TNT Middle School is at $0, and the $65,000 for Business Unit 2753 Clearwater is for rent and utilities. Mr. Chair, the 2024-2025 percentage of M1 to M3 students scoring 3 or higher on the summative mathematics assessment was 45% against a target of 60%. The percentage of M1 to M3 students scoring 3 or higher on the summative writing assessment was 55% against a target was 55% against a target of 60%. The percentage of middle school students passing IGCSE exceeded the average target of 85% with an 84 pass rate in mathematics and 100% pass rate in English. The pass rate for the City and Guilds assessments was 84% against a target of 90%. Program 1708, Senior Secondary Schools. Program 1708, Senior Secondary Schools, is allocated $31,612,000 for 26-27. This represents an increase of $242,000. This business unit supports Bermuda's public senior schools so that students are prepared for life beyond the classroom and become responsible citizens who contribute to the overall development and sustainability of Bermuda. It funds the delivery of the Bermuda Signature School Diploma and aims to support learning experiences that are academically challenging, culturally enriching, and connected to real-world pathways. The main functions and activities include preparing students to graduate annually by meeting the graduation requirements established by the Ministry of Education, providing learning experiences that are rewarding both academically and experientially, and supporting students to grow athletically and culturally through structured programs and school life activities. This business unit also works to expand access to advanced and internationally recognized credentials where appropriate, strengthening post-secondary readiness and future opportunity. In 2025-26, senior schools expanded access to advanced and international credentials through a strong business and technology education council, BTEC, business delivery that emphasize entrepreneurship, employability, digital fluency, and real-world application. These programs support students to build practical skills and understand how learning connects to workplace expectations. Looking to 26-27, priorities focus on improving graduation and post-secondary readiness, supporting student growth and success through expanding programs that make learning relevant and connected to real-world experiences. 1708 Performance Measures Senior Secondary Schools. Students gaining college acceptance. This measure captures the percentage of graduating students who receive at least one college acceptance, reflecting readiness for post-secondary pathways. It is an outcome measure based on verified acceptance documentation submitted to school counselors. The target for 24-25 was 60%, and the actual performance reach was 66%. Students passing City and Guilds assessments for English and math. This measure reports the percentage of students passing the City and Guilds English and math assessments, internationally recognized credentials that validate foundational academic employability skills. It is an outcome measure based on official City and Guilds examination results. Actual performance was 58% for math and 91% for English. Mr. Chair, as I near the time, I will probably read the one last section before we...
If that suits you, Minister, please
Yes.
do.
Okay. Students passing IGCSEs for English, math, and science. This measure reports the percentage of students achieving grades A or 2G in IGCSE English, mathematics, and science. It is an outcome measure based on externally validated Cambridge International results. The 2024-2025 targets were English 60%, math 50%, and science 50%. Actual performance results were English 99%, math 83%, and science 85%.
Thank you, MP Lister. Mr. Lightbourne, would you be kind enough to move us to lunch?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I now move that we move to have lunch or adjourn until lunch.
And
which
return
will be
again
return here at 2 p.m.
It has been moved that we adjourn for lunch and return at 2 p.m. Any objections? There being none, we shall adjourn until 2 p.m.